Hey, what's up, Water's Edge? My name is Matt Hoover. I serve as campus pastor at our Newport News campus. And this past Sunday, Pastor Stu led us through part 2 of our Heart for the House series, Are You Ready? And it was an incredible message. And I want to share with you some of my thoughts about it. But before I share my thoughts, take a look at this clip.
You're saying yes in advance. It's like I'm RSVPing before I even know the date. I'm coming to your party before I even know who else is coming. Yes. Yes, I'm putting my yes on the table. Yes in advance. And let me teach you something about your yes. Because I believe this, that your obedience invites the voice of God. That obeying God invites him to speak to you more frequently. But I just need to make sure you understand today that obedience also invites the blessing of God. It invites God's voice. So my obedience invites him to speak. But it also invites him to bless. That when you obey him, he honors you with incredible blessing, y'all. In fact, can I just say to some of you are so worried, you're so concerned, you're so scared. I'll just say it like that. You're so scared that you're going to ask something of God and he's going to answer, and then you're not going to want to obey him. You're scared. You're scared to pray, God, speak, your servant is listening. What do you want me to give? Because you're scared God might say, give $1,000. Oh my gosh, he said give $1,000. Now I got to give $1,000. And if I got to give $1,000 to the church, I can't spend $1,000 on myself. And I can't give $1,000 on Christmas presents because I got to give it to Heart for the House. And now I got to give to Heart for the House $1,000. And I wish I hadn't even asked him. Yeah, you're treating God like you treated your spouse on Thanksgiving when the dinner was over, and you're like, hey, do you need some help with the dishes? And in the back of your mind, you're like, please, God, please, God, please, don't let them say yes. And they said yes, and you're like, oh my gosh, you want me to help with the dishes? Here we go, you know? Well, yes!
Oh, come on, everybody. Not only did Pastor Stu make an incredible point, but man, that dude is so funny. Like when he's talking about crossing the fingers behind the back and banging pots and pans. That is so true. That is so true how we act. And it's sometimes true how we act towards God. So many times when he asks us to do something that's difficult or challenging, we kind of huff and puff and we act like it's a burden. The Bible actually says that God's commandments are not burdensome, but it's actually a blessing to be obedient. It's a blessing to trust God. And I love the point that Pastor Stu made. It's like, just as our obedience invites the voice of God, our obedience also invites God's blessing. I know in my life, I'll be transparent. This past Sunday, there was something that I was wrestling with, something that I was not choosing to be obedient about to God in my own life. But after Sunday, I couldn't shake the feeling. I couldn't ignore the voice of the Holy Spirit any longer, and I needed to make that thing right. Let me tell you something. The longer I held on to that thing that I knew God was telling me to be obedient with, the more kind of depressed I felt, and I felt shame, and I felt guilt. I kind of almost felt like I was lying to myself, and I was, I just didn't feel good. But the moment I finally obeyed, the moment I finally said, yes, God, I'm so sorry it took me so long. I'm sorry I'm so hard-headed. God, I'm sorry it took me so long to say yes to you. But the moment I did, the moment I said, God, this is yours. I'm giving up control. I'm choosing to listen, and I'm choosing to obey. Let me tell you something. The peace of God filled my heart and my mind. It changed the circumstance. It changed my attitude. It invited God's blessing into my life. I really do believe that. And I believe that maybe this past Sunday, or even right now watching this video, maybe God is reminding you of something that he's asked you to be obedient with. And maybe you haven't. You haven't taken that step yet. You haven't given God your yes. Maybe you haven't released control. Maybe it is about Heart for the House. Maybe Maybe God did give you a dollar amount. Maybe God did give you a figure in your mind that kind of scares you, kind of makes you feel nervous. You're kind of like, I don't really know if that was really God or it's just some bad Taco Bell. Like, I don't know. But I want to encourage you as you sort that out and you can't avoid the fact that, dude, this is God. It aligns with his word. It's stretching your faith. And it's giving you an opportunity to show your reliance and your trust in God. I want to encourage you to be obedient and watch how through your obedience, it invites God's blessing into your life, in your situation. Guys, I cannot wait for Heart for the House this coming Sunday as we give a gift, as we respond in obedience to what God has been speaking to our hearts. And I cannot wait for what it sets up our ministry to be able to do in 2021 and beyond. Love you guys so very much. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you this weekend.